The African Samurai, the story of a warrior from Africa who became a samurai in Japan in the 1500s. Let's get into it. Who he was? Yasuke was an African man who ended up in Japan in the late 1500s. Historians say that Yasuke probably came from what is now Mozambique or Sudan. However, we don't know exactly where he was born, because written records back then weren't very clear about the details. When Yasuke arrived in Japan, he was around 30 years old. What brought him to this faraway land was his boss, Alessandro Valignano, and no, not Valerian from Game of Thrones. This guy was also Italian, but he was a Jesuit missionary who wanted to spread Christianity in Asia. And, for protection, he hired a couple of African men who could fight, including Yasuke. We think he got these guys through a Portuguese contact in India. The Portuguese had trading posts there, and they were familiar with hiring African fighters to work for them. Arrival in Japan. So when did he get there? Well, in 1579, the ship carrying him and his crew arrived at a port near Nagasaki. It was quite the journey. They traveled across the Indian Ocean, went around the southern tip of Africa, then sailed north along the Chinese coast and finally landed in Japan. But why Japan? Well, Japan wasn't too far from the Chinese port they stopped at, and Jesuit missionaries like Valignano were eager to bring Christianity to this new and interesting place. First impressions. Imagine being Japanese and seeing someone like Yasuke for the first time. That would be quite a shock. He was really tall, over 6 feet, which is super tall even today in Japan. Plus, his skin was as dark as night. Can you picture how surprised the Japanese folks must have been? They had never seen a black person before. In fact, they had no idea that such people even existed. Legend has it that some folks thought his skin was painted with ink. Can you believe that? They couldn't fathom that a person could have naturally dark skin. So, to prove them wrong, Yasuke dipped his fingers in water and rubbed them on a piece of cloth. Voila! No ink, just his black skin. Finally, they believed that black people weren't just inked-up samurai. After spending some time getting used to life in Japan, Valignano and his crew headed inland towards Kyoto, the ancient capital of Japan. It was here that Yasuke got a chance to show off his sword skills. There was this big festival called the Jidai Matsuri, where samurai from all over gathered to show their strength and skill. Yasuke, dressed in fine clothes and looking mighty fine, strolled through the festival with his boss. Suddenly, some tough samurai dared to challenge Yasuke to a fight. They probably thought it'd be easy to beat a foreigner. How wrong they were. Yasuke fought them all, winning every single match. News of his amazing skills spread like wildfire. People couldn't believe a black samurai could be so good. This caught the attention of Oda Nobunaga, one of the most powerful warlords in Japan at the time. He wanted to meet this mysterious fighter, gained Nobunaga's trust. Oda Nobunaga was a man who loved unique and rare things. When he heard about Yasuke's incredible fighting skills and jet black skin, he was intrigued. Oda sent one of his top men to meet Valignano and bring Yasuke to him. When they met, Nobunaga was so impressed by Yasuke's presence and calm way of speaking that he asked to meet with him again. During their second meeting, Nobunaga tested Yasuke, trying to see if he could break his composure. He threw tantrums, made weird faces, and even pretended to attack him. But Yasuke remained totally cool throughout, which made Nobunaga really respect him. He knew he had found a loyal and trustworthy samurai. Nobunaga decided to make Yasuke his retainer and gave him the name of Yasuke. As a samurai, Yasuke got the highest rank, which was really rare for a foreigner at that time. To show his appreciation, Nobunaga lavished gifts on Yasuke, including gold, silver, fine clothes, and beautiful women. Nobunaga also granted him the title of Inu no Ashigaru, meaning dog samurai, due to his bravery in battle. Military role. Yasuke didn't just chill out at Nobunaga's castle. He was a fierce fighter and joined Nobunaga in many battles. Once, in 1580, when Nobunaga and his troops attacked a fort in northern Japan, Yasuke led a group of elite samurai in a nighttime attack. Their mission was to stop the enemy from escaping. Yasuke and his crew successfully cut off the escape route, helping Nobunaga's army capture the fort. Another time when Nobunaga's forces clashed with the famous tactician Toyotomi Hideyoshi near the city of Kyoto. Yasuke was right in the middle of the action. Despite being outnumbered, Nobunaga's troops held their ground thanks to Yasuke's help. He protected Nobunaga as they retreated, making sure nothing happened to him. Nobunaga was so grateful for Yasuke's loyalty and bravery that he gave him even more land and stuff. The other samurai respected Yasuke too. They might have been a bit wary of him at first, but they came to accept him as one of them. Witness to history. Sadly, Nobunaga's life ended in a tragic way in 1582. He was betrayed by one of his top men. While he was hanging out at Honnoji Temple in Kyoto, the guy who betrayed him was named Akechi Mitsuhide. He basically ambushed Nobunaga and his troops, forcing them to commit seppuku, a kind of ritual suicide. Even though Nobunaga trusted Mitsuhide and considered him a close friend, Mitsuhide turned against him without any warning. In the end, Nobunaga decided to take his own life rather than be captured. He handed his sword to a servant and asked him to cut off his head. This was a pretty common way for samurai to die, but it was still super sad. Nobunaga's death left a huge hole in Yasuke's life. They had a deep bond, and Nobunaga was the only ruler who treated Yasuke as an equal, giving him important tasks and showing him great respect. Captured but spared. After Nobunaga died, his enemies took over and put Yasuke in charge of guarding Nobunaga's grave. But in 1585, while he was traveling to visit Nobunaga's family, Yasuke and his men were captured by a rival samurai named Shimazu Yoshihiro. Shimazu was planning to execute Yasuke, but after thinking about it, he decided to send him back to the Jesuits instead. Maybe he realized that killing a foreigner wouldn't look good. Or perhaps he wanted to make friends with the Portuguese since they were big traders. Whatever his reasons, he let Yasuke go. Back with the Jesuits, Yasuke spent his last years in Japan hanging out with the missionaries, helping them do their work. He became a kind of unofficial bodyguard for them, protecting them from harm. He also picked up the ways of the Jesuits, learning about Christianity and spreading the word. Sadly, he never got to go back to Africa. A unique legacy. Even though Yasuke's stay in Japan was brief, his impact was huge. He became the first known African samurai, breaking down barriers and showing that skin color doesn't matter when it comes to skill and loyalty. His story is a reminder of how the world was way more open back then, and how people from different cultures could come together in unexpected ways. In modern times, his story continues to inspire folks all over the world. There are books, films, and even anime about his life. Plus, Hollywood is working on a movie about him, too. It's amazing how this samurai from Africa has become a global legend. And that's it for our video today. We hope you enjoyed learning about this amazing samurai. Don't forget to follow our page to be the first to know when we drop a new video. Until next time, take care and keep exploring the world.